I swear, I don't want to be negative, but sometimes it just happens. Modern Hollywood kind of sucks. Hot take, I know. I said it. Come at me, bro. I proved it scientifically. See my Film Year series if you don't believe me. By the way, I'm not using clips right now because I have a job and a family, and frankly, incorporating the clips is really time consuming. So, except for like bigger things, like when I finally tackle Goblet of Fire or the other Harry Potter movies, because that's actually been my first request, is that I do more of those. Then I'll use clips, but for the most part, it's probably just going to be me talking. I hope you don't find that too boring. There are many things contributing to said suckage. Writing probably gets the biggest consistent punch in the face. We're also dealing with a spate of bland cinematography right now. The internet is full of complaints about overindulgence in CGI, and also CGI seemingly getting worse suddenly. All that said, though, I think that we're actually kind of in a golden age of acting at the moment. It's almost surprising when acting is bad these days. I don't know why. Maybe we're all just used to being in front of cameras at the moment. Who knows? I don't. But one thing that only gets attention in niche groups is film scores are not that great right now. Not horrible, they're just kind of middling. Yes, we all love Hans Zimmer. But here's the thing about Hans Zimmer. He's an excellent composer. His ability to create soundscapes is incredible, and he can compose emotion with the absolute best of them. But he's only fine as a film composer. I think I need to define my terms. Here is what makes a great film composer, in my mind at least: the ability to tell a story with the music. It's the difference between Wagner and Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky wrote fantastic music that is just so catchy and hummable and just wonderful. But while you can sense the emotion of the music, you don't know things about characters or events. The Ring Cycle by Wagner is in German, but you can kind of put together aspects of the story without seeing it just from listening to the music. And once you know the story, you're pretty sure you know what's happening and who it's happening to, also from just the music. Film score should accomplish the same thing. If a score can have you reliving the scene the music is from just from hearing it, that is a good score. Now, I'm aware this makes for very few great film scores. Very few. But in all aspects, great is rare, or it wouldn't be great. I labeled hundreds of movies must see and called them good and incredible and fantastic. But I didn't really say that many of them were truly great. I have said that 1989's Batman is one of the perfect music themes, but the film score itself is only okay. Chariots of Fire, another perfect melody. I don't know anything about the movie's music beyond that one theme. I actually don't remember any other music at all. I think the last truly memorable film score we had was Pirates of the Caribbean, and as a storyteller, it was just okay. Also, sorry to make you feel old, but that was 21 years ago. Now, you may say that Dune was great, but again, that's more as a composition than a film score. It painted a setting and it fit the world, but it did absolutely nothing to tell the story. Sorry, Zimmer, you are better than I could ever be, but that's not the point. The point is, there's a difference between a movie having great music and a movie having a great score in toto. We all know and love Indiana Jones' theme. It has great music, and that theme only plays when he does really daring things. But what Williams does is he will hold out on that theme and tease you with it and kind of mix other music in with it until Indy really earns it. The truck sequence, besides being awesome, plays bits of the theme like it's trying to get it started. It almost hits da-da-da, and then Indy gets punched, and it stops. Sometimes it gets further than others, but it never finishes it until he finally runs Belloc off the road. Then it plays the full theme with the full orchestra because he won. Throughout the story, John Williams also plays it with different instruments, or slower, or faster, higher in the scale, lower in the scale, whatever he needs to do to better suit the scene while still using and or hinting at that same melody. Now, to come back to Pirates of the Caribbean, as a contrast, it has several really good melodies, but there's no variation in their presentation. This scene's version is the same as that scene's version, just longer or shorter depending on the scene's length. My conclusion is that we're in a dry spell. And my hot take is, I don't think it's the composer's fault. I actually think it's our current crop of directors. I think we might be in a generation of directors that don't really understand how to use the film score correctly. That sounds arrogant. Here's what I mean. John Williams is the greatest film composer of all time, period. Fight me, you can't. His ability and instincts to tell a story using his music is just about unparalleled. But here's a weird thing about John Williams' career. If you were to ask the movie-going public that actually noticed film music to list John Williams' scores, they'd probably just about all come up with a similar list. Star Wars, Jaws, Indiana Jones, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Harry Potter, and maybe Superman and Home Alone. Okay, so let's break that down. Jaws, Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, and E.T. are all Spielberg. Star Wars is George Lucas. Harry Potter and Home Alone are Chris Columbus. And Superman is Richard Donner. Superman is actually Clark Kent. It was directed by Richard Donner. So what is the significance of that list? Well, I just listed 8. 4 of them were Spielberg, who is a self-described soundtrack nerd and collected vinyl soundtracks long before he was a professional director. 2 of them are Chris Columbus, who was one of Spielberg's proteges. One of them is George Lucas, Spielberg's best friend, and another self-described soundtrack nerd. He and Spielberg would actually hang out and listen to soundtracks together when they first met. The only outlier is Richard Donner, and he's an anomaly inside of the whole point I'm trying to make, because anyone who's seen Lady Hawk knows he does not give a crap about film scores. Now, Williams is the best, but he has composed over 150 movies, and 7 of his 8 best-known scores were directed by people associated with Steven Spielberg. I love Danny Elfman. He's unique and amazing and weirdly uncopied inside of the world of film scores. And he and I have the same birthday, and one of my weird dreams in life is to have a birthday drink with him. But while his best themes are probably Beetlejuice and Batman, his 2 best scores are Alice in Wonderland and The Nightmare Before Christmas, both times when he was especially inspired. Michael Giacchino's music is great. I love The Incredibles and Ratatouille and Up and Inside Out, but I would only consider Inside Out and Up to be great scores, and he has hundreds of credits. Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings score is a magnum opus that deserves to be listed alongside Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. But again, he was particularly inspired and worked on it for 18 months. By contrast, John Williams worked on Empire Strikes Back for just 5 weeks. Back when I was 18 and dumb, my friend Rob and I were talking about music. Artists we liked, influences, the usual. And I said, you know who I think might be one of the most influential people in music? Steven Spielberg. He asked why I said that, and I said, well, think about it. Classical music was kind of dead in the sense of new compositions. People still went to the symphony, but hearing new pieces was not a thing. Then came this director who really understood the power of the orchestra for movies. And then his success influenced other people, and now we have a reason for new orchestral compositions to be a pretty regular thing. Probably about a year later, I just kind of cast it aside as a silly thought. But then like 10 years later, I decided that I was right. There is something that Spielberg brings out in Williams that is also apparently teachable, because Columbus had similar interactions with Williams. And Robert Zemeckis, another Spielberg protege, really brought it out of Alan Silvestri. As a contrast, in a recent interview, Gary Oldman spoke about Christopher Nolan and said that he is an incredibly prepared professional. He knows his job as a director, and he does it. But he also expects the same from everyone else. He apparently gives very little direction to his actors on set, and instead trusts them and their instincts as they prepare for the scene. Now, having heard this, I would be willing to bet that Zimmer gets the same treatment and is not pushed or collaborated with like Williams often was with Spielberg. There are multiple interviews with Spielberg and Williams together, and they give the impression of being partners, not just co-workers. I don't know if I've ever seen an interview with Nolan and Zimmer. I think I've seen one clip of something of them in the same room together. I think that kind of thing is the problem. In the best case, the current crop of directors don't know how to talk to composers to get what they need. In the worst case, they don't know what composers like Williams and Goldsmith do, or even how musical storytelling works. They just want soundscapes. Sideways has an epic rant about Rise of Skywalker, but in it he tells a story about the music of the scene where Ghost Luke force carries an X-Wing to Rey. The music that plays is the same music that plays when Yoda lifts Luke's X-Wing out of the swamp. Abrams insisted on it. About my theory on this current crop of directors. I try not to be personally insulting about people that I don't know. That's not what I am interested in doing with this channel. I will say someone did something dumb, but I will avoid saying that they are dumb, especially when that someone is in what is definitely a stressful situation, the like of which I have never come close to experiencing. However, this decision makes J.J. Abrams a musically illiterate moron. That is Yoda's music. That is not the lifting X-Wing music. John Williams pushed back on this and even composed something different for the scene, but he is a humble genius and deferred to his director like the professional that he is, so the idiot decision stood. I suspect that this is not unique to Abrams. I don't think there are many directors right now who know enough about film scores to know what to ask for, let alone what to suggest. Sorry, this felt like a rant, and I don't want to be a ranter, but I am going to make more videos about the shortcomings of the Harry Potter series, so there'll be at least 7 more rants. So many shortcomings. If you're subscribed, you'll see me next time. Bye.